So about a month ago, I posted this video for App State basketball, and the idea that I had was just kind of create a hype piece around the college basketball postseason, and with March Madness going on and everything like that, I figured that this would be kind of a cool concept. So I wanted it to be basically like a commercial type thing. 90% of what I do is run and gun. You just kind of capture whatever's there with whatever light is in the arena or the gym or whatever it is, the field. So I wanted to kind of break down my lighting setup and just kind of show you how I lit this commercial, is what I'm going to call it. It's more of like a short film, just kind of trying to encapsulate what March means in college basketball. So I'm going to hop into Milanote here, and this is where it all starts before you ever set up any light or even get on location, get on set or anything. Now this video is not sponsored by Milanote. I pay the subscription and I think it is definitely worth it if you do any type of pre-production. Basically, I just went through Frame.io and some Instagram videos and just found some frames that I like, some inspiration. You can see there's kind of a darker, kind of moodier look here to most of these frames. And I use these in my shot list. So going into this video and going into shooting, I already knew, like I already had a vision. I had a vision laid out in Milanote for what I wanted to do. Then I just had to kind of do it. So if I come in here, I can show you kind of my shot list. I have every single shot written out here, so that way I can just go through and check everything off. And then I put these reference frames in the shot list as well. Usually before you set up any lights, set up any cameras or anything on location, you want to go scout that location and you want to see what it looks like so that you have an idea of where you can bounce lights off of, where you can set up lights, where you can't set up lights, what lights are already there. Because the lights that are already there, or the practical lights, those are the most important because you have to work off of those if you can't turn them off. I knew that I wanted to set this up in our locker room. The problem was I hadn't been in the locker room in a long time, so I kind of wanted to go into the locker room and see what it looked like, see where I was going to be able to set up lights and what lights I could turn off. And I wanted to see where the player's locker was that I was shooting with. Time didn't allow, and kind of the circumstances of losing games and stuff like that didn't allow a good time for me to go actually scout this location. I kind of had to wing it and just see what happens when I got there, which I do not recommend. Definitely do a location scout if possible. So once I got there and I saw what we were working with, I saw that we could turn off every light, and his locker was in a position that was kind of weird for where the door was in the locker room. So I knew it was going to work when I saw it, but I knew I was going to have to change some things from the way I had them in my head. So if you haven't seen this video yet, it's actually the last video that I posted on my channel, and I'll also link it so you can go watch it. So I just pulled a couple frames from this video to show you the extent of the lights I had set up. Before I jump into this, the lights we were using was an Amaran 200C, I believe it is. It's a bicolor light, so you can change the temperature of the light. I was using this little Godox pocket light, which I highly recommend you pick up. This thing is, I've used it for so many things, just stick in little places. And then we had one of the nano pavo tubes. Jumping into this first frame, you can see kind of this light up here on the ceiling. So immediately what we did is we had the big Amaran light. We had that light set up over here off frame. Now this is going to be a really rough sketch, but we had this light and it was basically bouncing light off of the ceiling. And you'll see why I did that in a second. Ideally, I would have had a big softbox on it, but we didn't have one. We need to get one of those. And when I say we, I'm referring to like our athletic department. But basically had that light bouncing off the ceiling here. And then right from this side of the frame, which you're going to see in a different frame also, we have it's like a Gatorade fridge or something like that, and it has a light. So the color temperature of this light over here was at 5600. So I wanted to match the color temperature of that with every other light in the room. So this Amaran light over here is matching the color temperature of the other light, of the little fridge light that we can't turn off, we can't unplug. So that's going to be there no matter what. So that's why I wanted to match every light to that color temperature. So every light is set to 3200 or 5600 in the room. So we have this light bouncing off the ceiling, and then we had initially a pavo tube like set here, so it was going to be kind of bouncing light this way, but then I got rid of it because I didn't love the way it looked. So yeah, let me go ahead and jump into the next frame. Okay, so I would say this is probably one of the main frames in the video, and this is when he has sat down at his locker and he's there. Now, I actually think the lighting looks really good. It turned out almost better than I would have expected it to. So it's bouncing off the ceiling and it's hitting this side of his face. So it's kind of almost hitting him straight on more than one side of his face, because you can see his face is pretty evenly lit. We do have, I didn't mean to zoom. We do have some shadows like right here, and the light is kind of coming at this angle. So it's hitting his face right there. I'm going to go ahead and erase this so that it's not blocking his face. So essentially we have that as our key light, the Amaran light as our key light. And then this little pocket light I have right above his head. This light is coming down right on top of his head and kind of creating that little hair light or the rim light around his hair and his head. That's what that light's doing, and it's also lighting this whole back of the locker. So if it wasn't for that, the whole locker would just kind of fall off into the abyss and be super dark. So like I said before, I initially had the Pavo tube set up over here, giving us some light this way, but I didn't like how that looked, so I ended up not going with that. So in this frame, he is still sitting in his locker, but we just have a tighter shot and at a different angle. So we still have that light bouncing off the ceiling, so it's coming from here and bouncing onto this side of his face. So obviously we have more shadow on this side of his face and more of the light is hitting this side of his face. And then this little flare up here, which looks really good right there, that is coming from the little Godox pocket light. So basically what I did is I just gaffed that light up there, just taped it up to the top of his locker and stuck it up there. And then that's what is creating that flare kind of behind his head, and also this light that comes down off his shoulder and kind of like outlines him from the background, which I think looks really nice. So throughout this whole video, we kind of kept the same lighting setup, but this frame is when it gets a little bit more difficult. So you can see this is the little Gatorade fridge that I was talking about right there. So that's the light that was at 5600, and that's what we wanted to set all of our other lights to, because his locker is over here. So when the camera's facing that way, we want everything to be set to the same color temperature as this. Now the problem comes when this light right here, which I guess is like a floodlight or something, we could not turn that light off, and that light was set to probably 3200. So it's like two completely different sides of the spectrum in the room. What you could do, and one thought that kind of went through my head, is that when we move the camera from this side of the room to this side of the room, I can just kind of keyframe the white balance. But keyframing the white balance does not always work. So I decided that I'm just gonna stick with our lights at 5600 and I'm just gonna roll with it. Basically, we went from this side of the room all the way to this side of the room and just kept it. And actually in the final product, it did not look that bad. I figured it might look a lot worse, but it didn't look that much warmer on this other side of the room. When we did the camera movement on the gimbal here, we kept all the lights basically exactly how they were and just used this little practical to light this section. And that is all we did for this frame. I know I said it gets a little more difficult here, but I didn't want to go through the process of trying to move lights around again and make it look like they were there the whole time, if that makes sense. Overall, I'm really happy with how it turned out. Like I said, if I had all the resources in the world and all the lights in the world, there are some things I probably would have done a little bit differently. This little light and taping this up to the top of his locker as a little hair light or edge light, I think it worked out really well, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. Hopefully this video helped you out a little bit when it comes to lighting. I am by no means a professional gaffer. I actually feel like I don't know that much about lighting at all, but hopefully this helps somebody out there. I definitely want to make some more of these kind of breakdown videos on YouTube, especially of videos I do that are not just on the court or on the field, some more stuff on set. So if this interested you or helped you at all, just definitely let me know. But yeah, I'll see you on the next one.